She said it calmly, without bragging or challenge, simply as a fact. I have never been sick. She was 100 years old at the time. By that age, most people have dozens of diagnoses, an entire box of pills, fear of every sleepless night. Yet she continued to work, to think, to write, to converse with a clarity many lack at 40. Do you know what is most frightening? Not old age itself, but the thought that you can live a long life and forget why, to lose your mind, your curiosity, yourself, to turn into a body that is merely finishing its time. And once you realize this, you become afraid, because you already notice how memory grows heavier, thoughts tangle, days lose meaning. But the brain, that is you, if it weakens, everything else has no support. She, however, found another path, simple, rarely spoken about, and precisely because of that, truly effective. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create helpful, inspiring content for you. She did not seek immortality, yet the way she lived forces you to reconsider everything you believed about aging. A woman who outlived every expectation. When Rita Levi-Montalcini turned 100, she was not sitting in a rocking chair leafing through old photo albums. She rose, as always, at 5 a.m., visited the scientific institute she herself had founded, held a meeting with young researchers, and then sat at her desk and continued working, as though she were not 100, but 35. She did not merely live, she remained part of the world. Her thinking was sharp, her memory precise, her speech expressive, with a faintly ironic smile. Her brain, in her own words, worked better than at 20, and it was impossible not to believe her. Before journalists, she would appear with a glass of wine in hand, discussing neurobiology with such passion that the hall would fall silent. This was no gift of fortune, no genetics, no miracle. It was the result of decades of conscious effort, lived in defiance of fears, restrictions, even her own family. Because when she first set out on this path, she had to violate the chief rule of her childhood. Everything began with a tragedy she carried through her whole life. She was still a child when she first faced true loss. Their household had a governess, a kind, sensitive woman to whom Rita grew deeply attached. The governess provided the emotional closeness Rita did not find in the family's strict, restrained atmosphere. And suddenly, an illness, incurable, swift, merciless. Rita watched as the person she loved slowly faded, and she could do nothing. That moment cut into her memory forever. It was then that something in her both broke and was born. The thought that one day, armed with knowledge, she could save people like her nanny became the purpose of her life. But the road was not easy. Rita's father believed a woman's main goal was family, children, upbringing. He was categorically opposed to his daughter entering medicine. "It's not a woman's business," he said. Rita did not yield. She had to fight not only the outside world, but the person closest to her. And she won. She enrolled in medical school, becoming one of the few women in her class. Yet even after she finally earned her degree, fate had another blow prepared, one that should have destroyed her scientific career. Instead, everything turned out differently. War. A ban. In a laboratory in a bedroom. She had just begun to gain momentum, landed an assistant professorship, plunged into research, dreaming of a life in science. Then war came, and with it, a ban on work for Jews. University doors slammed shut. Colleagues turned away. She no longer had the right to engage in what she had fought for over the years. Most in her place would have given up, waited it out, resigned themselves. But not Rita. She took everything into her own hands. the family moved to a village farther from authority and noise. There, in an ordinary bedroom, she created her laboratory from whatever was at hand: glass threads, razor blades, an old microscope. Instead of lab mice, chicken eggs begged from neighboring farmers. Officials thought they had destroyed her career. Yet it was precisely in that small room, in solitude and silence, that Rita made her most important discoveries. By forbidding me to do science, they did me a favor. I accomplished more in the bedroom than in the university lab, she later recalled. Her findings reached America. In St. Louis, she continued her work at a major university and, years later, achieved the discovery that transformed medicine and forever inscribed her name in history. Even that, though, was not her main legacy. Because the most important thing she left is not an invention, but a lesson. A lesson about how to live. The discovery that changed medicine and her life. When Rita Levi-Montalcini first recorded the action of a particular protein, she did not at once grasp the scale of her discovery. The protein stimulated the growth of nerve cells. It seemed to awaken the brain to life, opening paths to regeneration, restoration, and new connections. Later, it was named nerve growth factor. For this, she received the Nobel Prize. Yet to her, it was not the goal but a side effect of perseverance, faith, and love of science. She spent 30 years at the American University, continuing her studies, teaching students, talking with colleagues. She did not seek fame. She sought meaning. Her office door was always open, her views direct and fresh, as if she were 20. She did not fear the young or new ideas. The more you give, the more you keep, she said, and lived by it. Even as a Nobel laureate, she remained a simple, energetic woman, for whom the real discovery lay not in formulas but in a life without regrets. Her true rules appeared later, and they are not about science, but about how to preserve mind, strength, and clarity when everything around you surrenders. When she shared her 5 main principles, it became clear why she did not merely reach 100, but stayed powerful to the very end. 5 life rules she lived by. Rule number 1, 1 meal per day. Lunch was her single meal, no diets, no prohibitions, but no overeating. I eat not for joy, but to live, she said. Number 2, no more than 6 hours of sleep. Her day began at 5 a.m. Sleep is restoration, not escape. The less we flee the day, the more we live in it. Number 3, daily mental activity. She never let her brain rest. Reading, analyzing difficult texts, retelling details, this was brain gymnastics, and that is why her mind did not age. Number 4, no constant comfort. She did not fear inconvenience, did not seek ease. Life is motion, not coziness. Number 5, live not for yourself. She believed the power of the mind lies in service. When we think only of ourselves, we narrow life space. Once we begin to give, the brain opens. I feel smarter than at 20 because I stopped wasting time on nonsense, she said on her 100th birthday. A daily exercise for the mind. Rita believed the brain is like a muscle, it loses strength not with age, but with inactivity. So she devised a simple yet powerful daily exercise, as routine to her as brushing teeth. She would open a complex scientific article on medicine, philosophy, neurobiology, pick a text laden with unfamiliar terms, copy those terms, decipher them, then reread the article again and again until she understood every meaning. If the brain has it easy, it sleeps. If it is challenged, it grows, she said. Another exercise was memory training. She read books and tried to remember not the main character, but a minor one: appearance, clothes, home on the street. She observed passers-by, striving to retain details of faces, gestures, attire. Sometimes she opened an old directory, chose 10 random names with years of birth and death, memorized them in 2 minutes, then reproduced them. She did not use trendy brain training apps. Her method was deeper: notice, delve, retain. Rita did not fear old age, she feared uselessness. A trained mind is never superfluous. Final words about life. She did not fear death, did not cling to life at any cost. The body dies, but the messages we leave remain. They are what matter, she said, with an inner freedom many young people lack. At 100, she held no grand celebrations. She attended scientific seminars, spoke about the future, about education, about African women whom she helped gain access to learning. She did not feel she had done enough. She simply kept living, in action, usefulness, purpose. Stop thinking only of yourself. Begin to think deeper. That is life, she concluded one of her last interviews. That was Rita in essence. She did not live for fame, awards, or approval, she lived for an idea. And as long as her brain served others, it remained young. She died quietly in her sleep, just 4 months short of 104, without fear, without pain, with a sense of completion, with gratitude, and with a message still resonating in the hearts of those who heard her. Now a question: did you truly hear her? Because the most important begins not in the past, but in what you choose to do today. Imagine yourself at 90, you wake not with bodily pain, but with curiosity about how you can help. You do not forget your grandchildren's names, do not live only in memories, but keep creating new ones. You feel no sense of ending, only continuation. Ask yourself, what are you doing today to make that picture real? Rita Levi-Montalcini was no superhuman. She simply chose, day after day, not to overeat, not to complain, not to shy from effort, and most of all, not to stop thinking. Even in the hardest times, she moved forward. Not because she was stronger than us, but because she once decided, I will not live in vain. And you, if you're still reading and feel this text has touched you, write in the comments, I choose clarity and purpose, and share which of Rita's rules you'll start using today. If you haven't subscribed, please consider signing up for our channel. Your support lets us create more helpful, uplifting content. Thank you for being with us. The rest is up to you.